Well, isn't this interesting? Doesn't look like something I'd normally carry, does it? Well, it's not. It is a guest blade from the sharpening bench. It's the Guardian Tactical Patron. Stick around, guys. We'll talk about it a bit. Hi, gang. Rob here. It is the evening of 27 March 2014. And yes, we do have something a little unusual to look at this evening, don't we? As I said in the introduction, this is the Guardian Tactical Patron. One of, I guess, two folders and a fixed blade. Introduced in 2013 by brand new company, but not brand new people in the knife industry. Guardian Tactical, probably founded sometime in 2012. Started producing knives, I think, early in 2013. And they're kind of a mystery wrapped in a riddle, surrounded by an enigma, I guess. I kind of know a little bit just from what I've been able to glean from the forums about who these folks are, where they came from, but information is pretty hard to come by, and their website is kind of interesting too, and I'll get into that as the review goes along, but first I kind of wanted to describe what we have here. Apparently, according to the website, we have a purpose-built tactical knife, one of two folders produced by Guardian Tactical. The Patron, is easily identified by the fullers, two going this way and one going that way, milled into the blade on either side, and in this two-tone configuration, they really show up well, don't they? The blade is kind of a, well, what is that? Sort of a modified sheep cliff wornfoot chef's knife. Whatever it is, it's really cool looking. Looks like a great slicer, great slasher, good piercer. We got a blade made of CPM 154. That is Crucible Industries powdered version of 154 CM, and one of my favorite Crucible steels, by the way. The blade grind is kind of interesting, isn't it? It's kind of saber ground, and it is a compound grind. We've got at the base of the blade a flat grind, and then there's a transition, and the forward section of the blade is hollow. Rather interesting. Normally, if we have a nightmare grind, the flat grind is on the tip end of the knife, and the hollow is back in this area. For some reason, Guardian decided to do that backwards. Don't know why. Blade length. Now this is where it gets interesting. The specs are kind of weird here. And frankly, it looks like Guardian built their website before they started making knives, because all the time-sensitive information on the website talks about January of 2013 being in the future. Like, this knife will start to be produced in January, of 2013. So it looks like they invested quite a bit of money. The website is pretty slick. There is one posted strategic partner. It's an organization, like a security company, nationwide security company I've never heard of, that partners with Guardian Tactical. You know, everything looks official and tactical, and it looks like they spent a lot of money to market themselves on the web, but it also looks like nobody's updated the website in a year or more, which is kind of odd. And the specifications that the Guardian Tactical website gives for this knife are pretty interesting. Okay, I'm going to give you two sets of specs here. The first set are the ones published on Guardian Tactical's website. Then I'm going to give you the real ones. Okay. Blade length. Guardian says 4 inches. Incorrect. I found an online retailer that lists the blade length at 3.74 inches. Incorrect. It's actually a little over 5/8 of an inch, so about 3.65 inches. Cutting edge listed on their website at 3.75 inches. Not correct. It's actually a little bit under 3.5 inches. Handle length listed at 5 inches. Not correct. It's actually 5.43 inches long. Here's one they got right. Blade thickness. I don't know. Yeah, we'll say they did. 0.155 inches or 4 millimeters. That's probably right. I'm not sure it's really quite that thick, though. Man, it looks more like 3.5 millimeters to me, but I'm not going to say they're lying. Okay. Handle thickness, 0.58 inches. I'll buy that one. Blade steel is actually CPM 154, if you can believe what's marked on the blade. But there again, who knows for sure. Okay, handle material listed on the website is G10, and I know the G10 version of this knife is available. This particular one, however, is very nicely 3D machined carbon fiber. And here was the real disappointment. And frankly, the knife feels very light in hand, and it's very well balanced. See if I can show you. Right in the choil, and the knife is perfect. It's just perfect. Right where it should be. But weight listed on the website of Guardian Tactical at 4.0 ounces. No, it's not. It's 5.7 ounces. That would be great though, wouldn't it? A 4-inch long blade, a 5-inch long handle. That'd be great handle to blade ratio, wouldn't it? And only 4 ounces with a 4 millimeter thick blade. Wouldn't that be something? Yes, it would. It's just not this knife. Anyway, that's okay. I'm sure those were sort of prototype specs. What we do have, though, is a knife with a substantial blade, a really good handle, not that perfect blade to handle ratio that was first published, but it's good. I mean, it's really good. I wish they would just get the correct information on the website, because the information's good and the product is really good. Okay, let's kind of roll on here. One of the reasons that I kind of wasn't warm to this knife, when I first saw it reviewed, I think Brian Knife Guy reviewed this several months ago. I really wasn't that warm to it because of its complication, if that makes any sense. We've got a carbon fiber handle. We've got a 16 bearing pivot, which you guys know my feelings about bearing pivots. However, they do work on this knife. We've got a wonky pocket clip. And is any of this starting to look familiar to you guys, by the way? Because it looked pretty familiar to me. It looked very Microtech. I see a little whale shark here. Well, it ought to look familiar and ought to look like Microtech, because the two guys who are the heads of Guardian Tactical are, according to the information I can find on Blade Forum, is the two gentlemen are the former lead designer for Microtech, and I think the head of the CNC department at Microtech, best I can tell. So it's completely believable that this would resemble a Microtech knife. I don't know if the two guys we're talking about, who are now Guardian Tactical, have had a lot to do with Microtech designs over the last few years, but it sure looks like they have. One thing I wish they wouldn't have taken with them is this unbelievably ugly pocket clip. I mean, could you make a pocket clip look worse than that on this knife? I don't know. Anyway, that was one thing that didn't turn me on, and the other was this lock system. Yeah. What we've got is sort of that old Microtech subframe lock, or the liner lock that's only attached to one synthetic material handle from the inside, and it's just, this one's ridiculously complicated. The locking leaf is stainless steel. There is no titanium in this knife. I've passed a magnet over every surface that sort of resembles titanium. So the clip is stainless. The entire locking leaf is stainless. The backspacer, which looks like it might be titanium, is clearly stainless. And frankly, it needs to be to achieve this balance. You know, I thought, man, it's too bad they didn't use tie in that backspacer, but it needed a little weight in the butt to achieve the balance that it has. And it's still not heavy for a knife its size at 5.7 ounces, and it feels lighter than it is because of that balance. But okay, let's talk about this lock a minute. We've got a stainless steel lock bar bolted to the carbon fiber scale with a carbon fiber overlay and a stainless steel insert. That just seems like a ridiculous amount of complication to me. Why are there 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces to the lock bar, counting the 2 screws? I don't quite get it. I don't get ball bearings. I don't get lock bars that are made out of 5 pieces. I don't really get ugly pocket clips. And I'm not sure I'm very down with the 1980s Asian tattoo theme on the blade, but it's there. So those are all the reasons I really didn't want to like this knife. But my YouTube subscriber Chris, who I've talked to a lot over the last few months, and I think Chris tried to buy one of the knives in the Toad Sticker benefit sale and kind of was late on 2 of them, I think. And he did something so cool. He sent me this knife to sharpen, you know, which he paid for. And then he sent 2 knives for me to give to Toad Sticker because he wanted to help him rebuild his collection. And that's just so cool. I just love Chris to death. And so he sent this in for me to sharpen, and I did. And I think it came out pretty wonderful. He said, I know how to treat my knives. I don't abuse them. Lay that baby back. And frankly, this knife is not real thick behind the edge, but for what it is. But what you're looking at there is my standard geometry. That's 15 degrees per side secondary bevel with a little tiny 19 degree micro. And if you guys, oh my, this thing's just amazingly sharp. The CPM 154 just performs so well. Here's something kind of odd. All the fasteners on this knife are standard Torx, except the pivot. And I'm not sure if Guardian makes a tool for this. You know, it's sort of a crossing slot. It's not a Phillips. And the slots are extremely shallow. So you'd almost want to, you wouldn't want to stick a flat blade screwdriver in there and try to move that pivot. I hope they make a tool for that. You guys weigh in the comments if you know. Don't know what the black coating is. I don't know if it's DLC or if it's some kind of sprayed on coating like a Cerakote, but it's pretty attractive. It seems pretty durable. You know, it wasn't super delicate during the sharpening process. It cleaned up nicely afterward. Nice satin flats. Nice swedge on the spine. I love that little rake. That little rake at the tip. Isn't that neat? Little curve in that tip. Pretty cool. It makes just for a really nice piercer. Very straight ahead as you're holding it. So Chris sent me the knife. I sharpened it. I was really happy with how it performed at the sharpener, and then I just spent some time with it. And I tell you what, the ergonomics of this knife are unbelievable. They really are. I mean, Every grip is just, it's almost like they took a clay mold of a hand in a proper knife wielding position and made the clay into this knife handle. It's really good. It's so odd looking. You know, it's pretty Microtech-y, I think, but you know, let's just look here. Here's your standard saber grip, and it's perfect. The jimping is on the spine of the blade only, not in the handle. It's just enough. It is not too much, but it still gives your thumb enough traction. We've got this beautiful forward choil, and if you're in a choke-up grip, you know, that's not the best choke-up grip I've ever felt, but it's pretty darn good. And the forward choil is executed so well. Very Hinderer-like, I think. It's just, it extends far enough to accommodate the index finger. It extends past the plunge grind. If you notice, that cutting edge is nice and consistent in width all the way back to the choil. The knife is sharp all the way back to the choil, as it should be if you're going to do this. You know, I was kind of bagging on the lock, but I have no issues with it. Lockup is perfect, I think, for a liner lock knife. It's gosh, maybe a little early, even maybe 25 or 30%, and it's the same every time. There's no stick, as you would figure, for a stainless steel liner lock knife or a stainless steel inserted knife. Lock bar tension, I suppose it could be heavier, but it's not alarmingly light. Oh shoot, what did I have in the other day? Oh yeah, the Direware knife. The lock bar had barely any tension at all. This is probably twice that. The bearings in this knife, they do their job. I mean, there's no side to side play, there's no up and down play, and they're not stupid free. You know, yes, the blade will fall, but it's sort of it gets to about this point, and then it gets free. Watch. So what it doesn't do is, you know, slam your thumb unintentionally. Like a lot of ZT 560s that I've held and fondled and played with. You know, you get the blade past the ball detent, and all of a sudden it's ramming into your thumb in an unnecessary way. This one's just really well balanced. The blade's free, but it kind of goes where you want it to intuitively. I really like it for a bearing knife. The things I don't like about it, in reality, you know, having it in hand, the thumb studs are, well, they're of an interesting shape. I want to get you a profile shot here. You know, there's no taper, there's no terracing, there's no real chamfering of the top of the thumb studs. They're just kind of a cylinder with a sharp corner, and the knife has not an overly strong detent, but it's pretty strong. So you've got to put some pressure on that thumb stud, and it gets to the old thumb after a while, I gotta say. The knife really doesn't like to be opened slowly. The detent is really it's pretty hefty, pretty stout, so it really wants to be flicked open, and flick open does it ever. You know, it is a 2013 knife, and that is that is one of the prerequisites, isn't it, for the modern tactical knife? It's got to be fast. It's got to pop out and fly out. Whether it's a thumb stud knife or a flipper knife, it's just something we owe to our old buddy Nothing Fancy, isn't it? The knife's got to be fast. So we talked about the saber grip and the forward grip. Let's look at the hammer grip here. One thing I will say, you know, that clip kind of looks like that Strider Marfione custom, what is that, the DOC? It looks like that, but it doesn't feel like that. It doesn't extend clear to the handle and stick way up and jab you in the hand. It's an ugly clip, but it's a comfortable clip. In the hammer grip, I cannot tell there's a clip there. In the saber grip, I can feel the tip of it just a little bit right here. Not bad. In the draw cut grip, I feel the texture in the handle. I don't really feel the clip. And let's go to the reverse grip. Knife's not that comfortable, and I do feel the clip in an odd way right here on my ring finger. That is just not a good grip for this knife at all. Very awkward, actually. So, for all of its misinformation and all of its sort of odd looks and overly complicated construction, what I have here, if I were to evaluate the knife's, the sum of its parts, and I look at it on paper, I'm going to tell you, this knife is ridiculous. But you get it in the hand, wow. If I could get over this, I can't get over this. I'd like it in all black, maybe, or satin without the fullers, but it's tacticool. It is, well, it's too expensive for a mall ninja. It's just tacticool in a little bit of an over-the-top way. If I blacked out the blade, got rid of the fullers, I would use this knife, and I would use it happily. Don't know if I'd pay the $379 or so to get the carbon fiber two-tone. I'd have no trouble with this blade in all black and G10 for half of that, maybe, if I could find one. It'd be interesting to watch Guardian Tactical over the next little bit, won't it? They sort of came out of the gate with a splashy website and some pretty cool products, and don't know kind of what's up with them, actually. I'll just have to look forward to seeing what they do next. That's all we have for the Guardian Tactical Patron. This is, of course, as I said, one of two folders in their stable, the other one called the Helix. They make a lot of variations of the Helix, and they're essentially the same knife, except the Patron has the slash cut fullers, and the Helix has 3 elliptical slots all the way through, holes in the blade. There might be some other differences, but it looks to me like they're pretty much the same knife with some different styling cues. So let's kind of keep an eye on them, guys. They're, so far, they're a little goofy, a little gimmicky, maybe some early growing pains, but they know how to build a knife. So let's see what they do next. That's all for tonight, my friends. Grace to you and peace from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. And remember, the word is sharp.